All right, one on Jax. We're going to go over the Kubrick puzzle, and we're going to look at one category, the IAN thread. Now, this one, you don't find this IAN thread until you get a certain, what would be, collection of threads, and you start to realize that okay, there's Indian burial grounds, there's boxers, Rocky Marciano, there's George Orwell's Animal Farm in 1984. There's a Jungian thing, in Full Metal Jacket, we hear Joker say it's a Jungian thing. So we're looking for the Jungian archetypes. So if you're given a category of all things Johnny, for instance, you're going to come up with the most famous and infamous Johnnies. If you come up with a category that's something else, you're going to come up with the most Jungian famous. Like if it's the moon missions, you're going to come up with the first man, the last man, stuff like that. It's always going to be the archetypes. And it turns out there's 12 different archetypes. And so we go from Jungian to Freudian. Kubrick talks about all these people in his interviews. And he talks about Freud and the uncanny. And in Clockwork Orange, we see the magazine, the comic book, and it's talking about the uncanny. So the uncanny, as Kubrick said, is when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, like you find something out that's so crazy that it freaks you out. That's a Freudian thing. And Freud said, when a cigar is just a cigar, blah 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 blah. And so we see the smoking threads, the Burns twins. Danny wants to play with his fire truck, the raging fire, and the smoky colored car. It's always smoking and chain smoking. So we're using smoking as a clue set. So it's genius because we can chain in the book the hotel burns down. In the movie it doesn't burn down. So anytime he changes something, he wants you to focus on it. Then we have Aldous Huxley, the double doors of perception. This is the Apollo 1 double doors, the double doors on 2001 A Space Odyssey and the Discovery Craft. Aldous Huxley's dies November 22nd, 1963, the day Kennedy dies. So does Huxley. So they form a pong-pong. Then you have the Kubrickian hallways and the Kubrickian. It's been coined, the word Kubrickian, to be just like Freudian and Jungian and Huxleyan. So it turns out Kubrick is one of the 12 archetypes on the archetype wheel. He's the magician, which of course is another Eon. And let's go. So there's magician right below it. Comedian. In the puzzle, there are various comedians. Peter Sellers, and um, one of the ways we know this is we have the character Joker, and they introduce him and they say, "Oh, this is Joker," and well, they call me the Joker. So he's giving you the category of comedians. So when we find a Rodney Dangerfield is in Kubrick's movie The Killing, but doesn't get credit for it. He's not credit. Like you look at the back of the movie, there's no credit for him. So it's a joke. Rodney Dangerfield, he never gets credit for it. So it's a joke. So Kubrick is telling you there's going to be comedians in the puzzle as well. And there's going to be a lot of other things. Joker says, "Oh, I'm a combat correspondent," so you can have combat correspondents in the puzzle as well. Ian Fleming, that is so genius. So Ian Fleming is the Bond series, and we're going to use the chopping allegory here. So we're going to chop up some Albert broccoli, and it fits so perfectly. It's just beautiful. And we know we're using the Bond films as well. I've alluded to this several times for previous videos. Hitchcockian. Now, Hitchcockian was coined by Quentin Tarantino. There's a video where he talks about how great Hitchcock was. So you look at some of the themes that Kubrick covers, birds specifically, and crazy, expressions for crazy. And you go to Hitchcock's world, and you have The Birds, the movie, and Psycho, the movie, another word for crazy. So Hitchcockian is it's fitting right in with the Kubrickian. You know, it's the same language. Then we have one small step, one giant leap. GIANT. So this is the NASA. This is the fallen. It begins with fallen because if you can't walk, you're fallen. So you have the fallen astronaut Kubrick left on the moon. You have the NASA crawler, the four-tracked vehicle that NASA uses to transport the rockets to the landing pad. You have one small step, Woody Strode, Johnny Walker. It goes on and on. It's walk, strode, stride, straight. And it's any expression you can have for moving. Any mode of transportation. Like if you go to Logan's Run, it's the same thing. It's run. So you have Blade Runner, Logan's Run, Johnny Walker, Skywalker. You have George Herbert Walker. So there's a lot of different ways you can walk, you can step, you can jump. You know, you had the astronauts on the moon did the bunny hop, they did the kangaroo hop, they did, you know, they were making giant leaps everywhere they went. So the next one, Vivian Kubrick. Oh, this one is I wrote pentuplet, but I think she's in more than that. But I don't know. It's at least a pentuplet. She was in the movie Barry Lyndon. She's at the magic show. So we're collecting the magic threads. So she's seen in the magic show with her son. She was in a space odyssey. She was squirt gun is what you're looking for. So the needle and the hypodermic needle is a squirt gun. So she plays Squirt in 2001: A Space Odyssey. She's in The Shining in the dream scene where Jack is in the bar and you see two women. One, of course, they're polar opposites. One has white on, one has black on. One is wholesome looking, one is sluttier. So it's giving and they entwine their arms and take a drink at the same time. So she's in The Shining. She's in Eyes Wide Shut. She's in the scene where Bill Harford sees a patient in his office, and she's standing on the wall, and it's really her son that is in Bill Harford's office. So Vivian is she's woven into this thing. So an Eyes Wide Shut, and of course Clockwork Orange, she does all the music for, and she's also seen. No, I'm sorry, Full Metal Jacket. She does all the music for. Clockwork Orange, she's seen in the record store, just briefly, just walks by. And so she's a pentuplet. She's as far as I know, she may be more than a pentuplet, which I suspect, but she's at least a pentuplet. Now, when you go to Philip Stone, Philip Stone was in Clockwork Orange. Philip Stone was in The Shining. He's Grady. Philip Stone was in Barry Lyndon, and Philip Stone. Oh, is he in another one? So he's a triplet. So you have to keep track of what actors he's used and how many times they've been used as well. So she's a pentuplet. Then you have her mother, Christiana Kubrick, with the same three-letter sequence in her name, and she does the paintings in many of the movies. Eyes Wide Shut is filled with them. I suspect that she's done many of the ones in the other movies too, but I don't know. She's a clever little. Uh, and you have Julian Calendar. So in 2001: A Space Odyssey, you have the Gregorian calendar, and you have the Clavius base. So Christopher Clavius creates the first Gregorian calendar ever. Now, the calendar that preceded the Gregorian calendar was the Julian calendar. It's based on the moon, and there's 13 months and 28 days, just like the moon. And it was abandoned by the Copernican theory and the Clavius base. Faustian is a Satan. You have to look this up. Faust. Let's do that right now, because I am not. Come on, what's going on? Okay, here we go. So there's a Faust crater on one of the hand-drawn lunar maps. So Faust is the protagonist of a classic German legend based on a story. Blah blah blah. So you look at the book, and you're not talking about um, this gives you an idea of what we're talking about. It's Faustian. So you could say Halloween is is Faustian. It's a holiday. Then you have the Italian stallion. So um, Rocky Balboa is Italian, obviously, and also Rocky Marciano is Italian. I should have put that on top. So Rocky Balboa, so Rocky is genius because um, Rocky writes the movie Rocky. Rocky stars in the movie Rocky, and Rocky directs the movie. I mean, just a triple threat. Boom. So he's a fake boxer. So he's in the boxing category already. He's Italian, so he has the Ian. He's the oh, he's the Italian stallion. That's his nickname, and we're always using nicknames. He plays Rocky Balboa, which is a snake. And of course, this fits our monolithic category: rocks and Rocky and the Rocky Mountains and blah blah blah. You have the Rocky Mountain National Park is where the Stanley Hotel is. It's monolithic, and another one is the Torrances live in Boulder, rocks and boulders. So Balboa, a snake. Sylvester is his first name, so that is clearly a Looney Tunes cartoon character, cat. So you look at Rocky, and okay, he's a one-eyed Jack. He directed the movie. He's an actor. He just starred in it, and what was the other one? He wrote it. He's three metrics of the puzzle language before you even get out of it into his name. He's a writer. He's a director, and he's an actor. So there's three. Four. He's a horse. He's an Italian stallion. He's a stone. There's five. He's a snake. There's six. He's a Looney Tunes Looney Tunes character. There's seven, and he's a cat. There's. You have to know the language, but once you know the language, you realize that wow, none of this is accidental, and the ENIAN thing isn't accidental either. And you realize that this is all being done very covertly. So you have Arthur C. Clarke and all the people from Great Britain, and the great fits too because it's a grand it's a great, the grand, the millennium, the thousand. Um, so it's the grand piano, the Grand Canyon, the grand ain't life grand as Roddy Piper, and they live. Scatman sits at the grand piano in the Overlook Colorado Lounge, playing with his smoking gun. And then you have the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium is 1,000, so a grand is 1,000. So anything great, one of the people that we're looking for is Jackie Gleason for the Gleason's map, and he was known as the Great One, and also he was known as the King of the Castle. So he's a great, a grand, and a king all in one. Lesbian. We have Shakespeare crater on the moon, and Horatio crater. And what is the other one? There's another one. It's irrelevant. Shakespeare is a thread in Kubrick's language, and so he's going to give you the great Shakespearean trained actors. So when you find out Alec Guinness was born on 4/2, the day 2001: A Space Odyssey is released. Oh, I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, no, I'm right. Alec Guinness is born on 4/2, the day 2001: A Space Odyssey is released, which is his birthday. So you have the birthday of Alec Guinness, the birthday of the movie, the first day it was seen, and he's a Shakespearean trained actor, and we see him in Star Wars. So he's a double knight. He's a Jedi Knight, and he's been knighted by the Queen. And he's a thespian, Shakespearean trained actor. And so this is your little clue that you're going to be looking for Shakespearean actors. Now, I am not an expert in Shakespeare or who's been professionally trained Shakespearean actor, but know that there's going to be a list of these. And Lunarian. So Lunarian is a moon watcher. So this is the proto-ape. Euclidean. This is interesting because on the landing maps, they land right near Descartes crater, which is length, width, and height. This is the typical. If you live on a flat plane, Cartesian geometry is fine. But we have Euclidean geometry. Oh, I should have. Oh, I didn't think of that. Cartesian. So Descartes. As you do these lists, you go, "Oh my God, how it's so related! It's so woven together." When you see Dorian Harewood, we haven't gotten to him yet. When you see Dorian Harewood, you're gonna scratch your head. You're just like, this can't be a coincidence. So Pluto, you have Pluto is the Disney, Pluto is the Disney dog, and it's a planet, so it's a ball, and it's a god because it's Pluto, and it's an element because it's plutonium, and he's the god that makes all the weapons for the other gods, and he walks with a limp, and he lives in the underworld. So we see Pluto. Or no, yeah, Pluto is also Mickey's dog. Dionysus is the god that throws the princess's crown to the heavens, forming the corona borealis. So this is the Minotaur myth. And Theseus and the magic thread. Theseus. So this has been covered in previous video, the Minotaur and the magic thread, and we're going to see some magic threads. Okay, so actually we're going to see this magic thread right now. So we have Dorian Harewood. Dorian is a musical mode. There's several modes, but this is one of the musical modes. So Apollo is the musician; he plays the lyra. So Dorian Harewood, the first part of the clue that he's going to be a magic thread is the Dorian, and Dorian Harewood. Remember, his last name is Harewood, so he's a double. There's a doublet name. His last name is a doublet. His first name has the E in it, and it's a musical mode. And he plays 8-ball in Full Metal Jacket. So he's the magic 8-ball, which is a game. So once again, we're going to have a game. We're going to have a wood. We're going to have. I mean, it's just the same things over and over and over and over and over. So he's the man on the trigger. This is a horse, by the way, very Jungian famous horse, and he's the Jungle Bunny. So we have a bunny, a horse. This is a cracker comment, but I'm not going to go there. We have a game, a magic 8-ball game. Oh, jeez, I don't want to do that. Okay. Make sure this thing's recording. Okay. Okay, so you have the magic 8-ball game. He's a wood, and he's a hare, and he's a bunny. So remember, he's a bunny and a hare. A hare is a female rabbit. A bunny is a female rabbit. And his first name is a musical mode. So once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, he's 7. He fits 7 metrics in this puzzle. What are the odds of that? I mean, it just dwarfs your imagination. Then you have the Gregorian calendar. So this is Christopher Clavius in 1582. He's the first ball planet calendar guy. So when they go to 2001: A Space Odyssey, they land and they go to the Christopher Clavius base in the Clavius crater. So IAU is the International Astronomical Union. So Dr. Floyd in 2001: A Space Odyssey gets invited to the IAU convention, which is going to happen. And he responds by, well, that'll all depend on the holidays and the birthdays. So he's giving you the holidays and birthdays clue again, and he's giving the IAU, the governing body that names the creators. So the Christopher Clavius crater, and then of course they go to the Tycho magnetic anomaly, which is the man that could prove that we don't live in a ball, and he was poisoned with mercury. Then we have the Bohemian Grovers. So it's interesting that Kubrick selected the name Grover was the name of the Apollo 1 test rover. So that's pretty funny because in the Bohemian Grove they get around by golf carts, which is essentially what the moon buggy, the moon rover. It's a dog, but um, you know this is all part of the golf and the slice and the mine shaft and the 3-footer and it's a 3-footer for the eagle, 2 under par, and the test rover is the Grover. Hello. Um, Vivian, the name Vivian is used more than once. There's more than one Vivian. And another person that's named Vivian is Vivian Fuchs, the first air transit of the North Pole in an airship. The Norge. And the first transatlantic crossing in the Tucker Snowcat, a 4-track vehicle. And he's bipolar, of course. He's been to the North Pole, and he's set records on the North Pole, and he's set records on the South Pole. So before, when I said that there's bipolar twins, this would tie into that because he's a bipolar twin. Julian Huxley. So this is Aldous Huxley's brother. So this is A Brave New World, his book. And of course, Keira Dalia stars in the movie version of The Brave New World. So these are the double doors of perception. You had Julian is David Prowse. David Prowse is a professional bodybuilder, and he's in Clockwork Orange. And he's in Clockwork Orange, and he's a green crossing guard in Great Britain. And he decides that he's not going to do anabolic steroids. He refused to juice up and get huge. So he got to a certain point in his career where he had to make the decision: am I going to go with anabolic steroids or am I not going to go with them? And he decided not to go with the needles. That's one of our no needle clues. And of course, he plays Darth Vader in Star Wars, which is part of this puzzle. And it's the Julian calendar. So you get an idea that this Ian thing, although it's very strange, it doesn't seem to make any sense. It's being used to link all these things together, and it's genius. It's linking in. You have the Gregorian calendar, the Julian calendar, the Christopher Clavius base, the Tycho magnetic anomaly. It's linking in comedians, magicians, Kubrickian, Huxleyan, Freudian, Orwellian. All the Ians are going to be involved. Now, there may be more of these, which kind of goes into what I was going to mention. Oh, man, I lost about a month and a half of research today. I was like, I had saved the document to a different name 4 months ago. But I've been working on it, I'm constantly working on it and forming new things on it, and I lost 4 months. I shouldn't say I totally lost it. I was able to get the document open. It's just not formatted correctly. So I'll get the data back, but it was just frustrating that happened. And that's it. So, like I said, there could be more of these, but you see that it's clearly a repeating pattern. That has no, it doesn't make any sense at all, but it's a repeating pattern. And that's it, guys. Have a great night. If you liked it, or if you learned something, thumb it up, or better yet, sub it, or even better yet, ring the bell. That way you get notified when I make a new video. And that's it. Carpe diem.